we got here? So I found another one of these. This is Brantley Live. Welcome. It is the show where we turn religious fears into laughing to tears. Because a lot of those religious fears like get deeply ingrained, and even once you've walking away from the faith, you still need to kind of get those hooks out. Like you've been cut from the line, right? But you still got the hook in you sometimes. When you're having come from a highly indoctrinated past. So what I usually do is I watch Christian apologists and just a Christian like FundyTube is what I call it. We just watch it. We watch FundyTube. We make fun of FundyTube. That's it. So I found this one. This was kind of interesting. It was there's this weird Confederate guy. I call him the Confederate guy. I don't know what his name is, but he I don't know. To me, he kind of looks like a Confederate soldier or something. A lot of times he wears like this one looks different actually, but he usually wears like the little, the Civil War hat or whatever. Honestly, I don't know if it's the North or the South, but I don't. To me, it seems kind of weird to be that into the Civil War. It's just kind of strange. So I found this video. Let's take it back to the beginning, and here we go. It's just to set this up. This is a Q&A, and the title of the video is "Atheist Storms Out of Q&A for This Reason." So I don't know what it is, but we'll see.
I feel like this talk's kind of gonna have engendered a lot of confusion because there's a lot of things I noticed, and forgive me, I spoke out earlier.
That's all right.
There's a lot of things that you did in this talk, in this presentation. You kind of gish galloped over a bunch.
I love
of
that word,
things,
gish
and there's
gallop.
a lot of logical fallacies.
It's kind of funny. With the word gish gallop, I had brought Aaron Raw. I had a talk with Aaron Raw, and I was showing him my book that I used to when I was being raised, my science book, my homeschool Christian fundamentalist science book. And it was written by Gish, the dude who's named after that, Gish Gallop, because he would just throw so much nonsense at you all at once. And it was really difficult for people to debate him and address each one of the million things he throws out and it was just a bunch of him misunderstanding evolution and then thinking that it was very flat earthish. It was very flat earthish. And I had the book. If you want to go back, it's in the videos. So the latest actual video I have of my talk with Aaron Rawl, it was awesome. So that's what he means by Gish Gallop.
I don't want to address all of them. I can't. I know you've got a limited amount of time. The biggest problem I noticed is you mentioned a few times and kind of disparagingly this idea of an atheistic worldview, and then you attack that. That's a great straw man because atheism is not a worldview. And I know that you've been made aware of this because you've had debates with other people to this effect. So I would...
Okay, what do you mean by worldview?
Well, that's what I would like to ask you. Atheism is just the rejection of the claim of theism, which tells you nothing about how that person thinks about social rules, who they want to vote for, whether they like cake more than they like pie. It's not a worldview. Atheism.
Poor guy. You can tell he's like really nervous because he's probably one of the only atheists in the crowd. Is what it seems like. Because this was a Frank Turek talk. That's who that is, Frank Turek. If anybody's not familiar, I've seen him do several debates. He's whatever. He's just your run of the mill apologist, to be honest, that tries really hard to act as though he's being logically consistent, but just for debate's sake, it seems, because that's what most of these apologists are. It's all just for debate's sake. They will have all these arguments, but they don't really pan out in any kind of real life model. You know what I mean? It's more of like just this answers that, and this is logically consistent, so that's my logical argument for what I already want to believe in the first place. Anyway,
simply saying God is not guilty of existing. It's not the same thing as saying God does not exist. Now, there are atheists who do that.
This dude has watched a lot of Matt Dillahunty, it seems.
Strong atheist, or what we call Gnostic atheists. But atheism is just a rejection of the claim of God existing.
Your worldview is simply the lens that you look through in order to understand life. It comes from the German word. I'm probably going to butcher this, Weltanschauung. I'll let him continue, but I think as this conversation continues, you'll see the problem with his claim that atheism is not a worldview.
Okay, let me ask you a question about this, Scott.
I mean, okay, it's something that can inform one's worldview, but being an atheist doesn't even mean that you're necessarily a skeptic. There are plenty of people that are atheists that still believe in like fucking ghosts and healing crystals and just all sorts of stupid shit. So in that sense, what he's trying to say is that it doesn't actually inform our worldview as much as something like Christianity would, where it's literally has like all the rules baked into it. Now, there are Christians that are leftists and stuff like that. I think it's kind of weird when I see that, but that is something that exists, right? So I mean, I don't know. To me, I think this is almost a semantic, nonsensical thing to focus on. But I don't see atheism as a worldview in and of itself. I think it's a small aspect that informs a very small part of one's worldview. But
Here's the proposition. God exists. Do you agree with that proposition? Do you disagree with that proposition, or you don't know?
I don't know.
Okay, so you're an agnostic then.
Well, agnosticism addresses knowledge.
yeah, this
Right.
is very
So you don't
much
know.
Theism addresses a belief claim. So I would be agnostic atheist.
real quick. This is something that I've if you watch a bunch of YouTubes, yeah, you're going to come away from that saying that you can be an agnostic atheist. Now, if you're someone who is into philosophy scholarship, like if you're a philosophy major, then you're probably not going to accept that as a proposition, being able to be an agnostic atheist, because in philosophy, it is very much just, it's like these three things mean something very specific. And, I tend to agree with this dude that you can have it to be agnostic and an atheist, because if you don't believe in any gods, you're an atheist as far as I can tell. Whether you epistemologically don't know or not, then yeah, it's you can be an agnostic atheist. As far as I see it, it makes perfect sense to me. But like I said, these philosophy major type people will get really upset with you if you say that, because it's kind of an informal way of looking at it, and it was done by, I want to say, was it Dan Dennett? Somebody, I can't remember who it was, that brought up the whole agnostic atheist thing. And it was mostly for argument's sake, is what I could tell. Because then you don't have a burden of proof. And that's what that gets you out of. If you say I'm an agnostic atheist, you can still reject the claim of theism, but still not have a burden of proof, because you're not claiming knowledge of non-existence, right? Which is like what the hard atheist position is, right? On the Dawkins scale. But within philosophy and whatnot, like I said, like philosophy majors and stuff, they wouldn't accept that. They would say, no, you're just rejecting the claim, therefore you have a burden of proof of some kind. And they're not necessarily wrong. Like, you have a minimal burden of proof, I'd say. It's very minimal. It's not anything like what theists have. And I think if we can just be honest with ourselves about the fact that we do have a low bar of a burden of proof, but it's, again, nothing near what theists should be required, I think, as far as like epistemology goes. Anyway.
I do not know that God does or does not exist, but I do not believe that he does.
Okay, well, you still believe that you don't know whether God exists, so it's still a belief.
It's a lack of belief.
No, you believe that it's true that you don't know that God exists.
And your point is?
Okay, well, my point is that
I feel like he's backing it out one extra step to like add confusion, but I don't, he's trying to explain it and then trying to basically make him say what he's not saying. But all right,
atheists today are trying to say, I have a lack of belief in God. For me, that's just saying something about your psychological state. It doesn't say anything about the real world out there. It doesn't say whether or not God exists. You're simply saying I lack a belief in God.
Sure.
Well, this
Yeah.
water bottle lacks a belief in God, but
the
we
water
don't call
bottle
it,
doesn't have the capacity to believe.
right. I know what
You
I'm
addressed this with Cosmic Skeptic, like in 2017. When
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
on and
Okay,
he
but the
kind of
audience
refuted
doesn't know
that.
this, so just give me a chance
You guys
to
should
answer.
check that out. It's
Okay.
pretty good.
By the way, that conversation is actually really good with Frank Turek and Alex O'Connor, I believe his name is, from Cosmic Skeptic. I will be commenting on
I gotta say,
that
like,
video.
I was a big fan of Cosmic Skeptic for a bit, but he lately has been bringing people onto his show that I really don't. It really makes me uncomfortable. It's Peter Boghossian, who did write a good book. Don't get me wrong, but the dude is awful. He's just a terrible, racist, fucking piece of shit. So it's
On this
like,
channel as well.
If we define atheism as a lack of belief in God or whatever,
Sure.
then we're not really saying anything, because everything that doesn't have the capacity to believe anything could be called an atheist then.
A water bottle could also be called a vegan if you say it's something that doesn't eat animal parts. As far as
That's a
that
good
label
point.
is being applied, it's ineffective in that case. I would say atheism is related only to those things that have the capacity to believe in the first
Okay.
place.
We can argue over definitions all day long. When
Right.
I'm debating an
That's what-
atheist, whether it's Christopher Hitchens, Michael Shermer, Jeffrey Lauder, whoever it is,
Sure.
when we set up a debate, I say, let's debate this. What better explains reality, theism or atheism? Or if you want to call atheism materialism, whatever you want to call it.
But the point is, theism is not
Let-
trying to explain reality.
I mean,
Yes, we are.
No, that's not what it is doing. And I'm telling you, as an atheist, that's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is you are coming to me and you're saying, hey, God explains X, Y, and Z. And I'm saying, well, how do you know that? And why do you know that? And convince me of that.
Okay, let me finish my point, Scott.
Sure.
Okay. When two people come to debate,
God, this dude's headphones are like really loud. He's like must be hard of hearing or something. It's blaring in there and it's picking up like the echo. Anyway, sorry.
on this issue, I'm going to say, when I look at reality around me, when I look at the creation of the universe or the fact that the universe exists, the fine tuning, the more objective moral values, when I look at what appears,
Yeah, all the arguments that you have that you have adopted to basically retrofit what you already believe in the first place. Yeah, we got
be
it.
designed in life and where life came from, when I look at consciousness and free will and the laws of logic and our ability to reason, I think anybody coming
See,
to
I think the one that I saw, because I'm just bringing this up because he brought up like the laws of logic and all this. I think he does that Darkesian, like one thought too many bullshit of like, well, how do you know that the laws of logic even work? You got to have a source for the laws of logic, and otherwise, and that's God. So I'm right, and you can't be right about anything because you don't have a source for the laws of logic.
onto a
So
debate
stupid.
stage has to give causes for why those things exist.
No, they
let
only
me-
have to show that your arguments aren't correct or
No.
fallacious.
When you frame the debate the way we frame it, what better explains reality? And reality includes all those things I
Hold
just
on,
mentioned.
Here's the problem with this. It's a false dichotomy because you're sitting there saying like what best explains reality. We don't know, if one of the if we can say we don't know something, like I hate when they just add like two choices and they're like, which one better explains reality? It's like we could be missing like a million different options that we don't even know about. And so and they love to like corner you into this kind of like very narrow thinking of just this or that, and it's just I don't know. I just think it's blatantly dishonest. But
Then I have the burden of proof to say I think these things are best explained by theism, and the atheist has the burden of proof to say, okay, I see those things exist. Here's my explanation for why they exist.
So then I don't
and then
believe
that's not fair though, because then we have to literally act as though we're a fucking expert on everything. We have to like know about cosmology. We have to know about neuroscience with consciousness. We have to know about every fucking thing just to be able to say, nah, that's insane. I think that's ridiculous.
believe any atheist that I've ever seen debate with you has ever accepted a debate under that kind of framework. The framework is never that
Scott,
atheism
they-
is a better explanation. It's that your theism is not a sufficient
Well,
explanation.
you'll have to talk to them, Scott, because they
That's actually
agree
right.
every time. Christopher Hitchens.
You guys should check out the videos on
Michael,
YouTube.
yes,
That's not
Michael
what happened.
Shermer.
No.
Oh, okay.
He's gone.
Just so you
He's
know.
What?
What
Oh,
did you
okay.
say, Scott?
I didn't even.
I was lying?
Yes. He said you were lying.
I'll be happy to, if you
Hold
give
on.
me your
I
email
feel like I
address.
missed something. What the fuck?
Check out the videos on
Michael,
YouTube.
yes,
That's not
Michael
what happened.
Shermer.
Okay.
Your theism is not a sufficient
Well,
explanation.
you'll have to talk to them, Scott, because they agreed every time. Christopher Hitchens.
You guys should check
They
out the videos on
agreed.
YouTube.
Yes,
That's not
Michael
what happened.
Shermer.
Not-
Oh,
Okay,
He's gone.
I think he's probably
just so you know.
Yeah, I think he's actually probably like right about that because this dude clearly he's walking off right here. This dude clearly has watched those videos, and Paul just love to do this shit where they say that, oh well, all of these atheists said a thing because they can't seem to like just be in this conversation. They always want to be like, well, Christopher Hitchens said, I can't tell you how many times Christians have used the Penrose number thing. Oh, dude, who's not even a Christian, right? And just saying like the odds are astronomical of the universe coming into existence without some creator or whatever, right? But the dude's not even a Christian, so he's using somebody else's argument to anyway. But it's just they're so frustrating with their dishonesty. So I get it why he left.
What did you say, Scott? I was lying?
Yes. You say you were lying.
I'll be happy to, if you give me your email address, I will send you a video of all those debates and you can watch. Okay, well, those were the titles of the debates. And the reason we do that, ladies and gentlemen, is because
the atheism best explains reality. The atheism doesn't explain anything. It's it's the rejection of a God. Like that's where it's so weird when they try to frame it that way, because it's just a dishonest framing. Atheist doesn't explain things. It's just our lack of a belief on a single proposition. And it doesn't, we're just saying reality is reality, and you're saying that reality is this reality because a God exists. And we're saying, I don't know. I don't think that's the case, and I don't know. It's so weird that but this is the kind of games they have to fucking play to be able to do what they're doing, because otherwise they sound like complete crazy people if they're honest in any way, shape, or form.
let me put it this way, it's easy to smell a rotten egg, it's hard to lay a better one. Okay? So if someone has a position over there that I think is wrong, I can throw eggs at it and I can try and diffuse and say that's a bad argument, that's a bad argument. But I then still have the burden of proof to say, well, what is my explanation for the way?
No. See, here's what he's messing up. You don't have to have an explanation, man. If somebody else is making a fallacious argument, you can just point out the fallacious argument and that's it. You're done. You do not have to then. This isn't a political debate. This isn't like where like, oh, and even in political debates, you don't have to do that. How many people are like sitting there having to be like, hey, it's wrong that the prison system is privately owned. And then it'd be like, okay, well then who's, how do we fund it and this, and that? And you got to go walk through all the economics of how like you need to have publicly funded prisons or whatever. Like you don't have to do all that. You can just say, this is wrong. We don't necessarily have a solution. It's just, this is wrong. So and especially in these kind of debates, we're talking about how the world works or whatever. They are the ones claiming that it best explains that they think a God best explains reality. And we're just saying we don't think that's the case. That's not true. And we don't then have to go, oh, well, okay, it's because then we'd have every little thing we'd have to explain. We'd have to explain all the science that goes around cosmology, all the science that goes around neuroscience. Like I said, like all these different things that we'd have to then like slow walk these fucking assholes through to be able to be like, see, our explanation is coherent because we have to know about literally everything in order to say like why the universe works the way it does. Like, it's ridiculous.
Things are the way they are. Let me give you one last illustration because this is an important point that Scott brought up. If I'm a detective and atheist Michael Shermer is a detective and we come on a dead body and I say,
okay, first of all, don't say it like that. You come on a dead body. Come on, man. That's kind of gross. But if you want to come on a dead body, you should just go to adamandeve.com and enter code word Brentley at checkout, and you can get 3 free gifts, one for him, one for her, 50% off almost any one item, 6 free movies, and free shipping on the whole thing. So yeah, if you want to come on bodies, just go ahead and do it that way. Jeez. All right. Let's see.
Okay, I'm looking at all the evidence here. I think candidate X did it. And Michael Shermer says, no, candidate X did it. Or didn't do it. That's the wrong, he's not the murderer. And I say, okay, who is the murderer then? And he says, well, I just lack a belief that your guy's the murderer. Is he a good detective?
Wait, you can actually do that, because even with his metaphor like totally falls apart. We can say that, hey, this piece of evidence exonerates this person that you're claiming did it. That doesn't mean that we then have the person that did do it. We're not, you know what I mean? Like, we can sit there and say, like, you're wrong about this person doing it, and then them go, well, who did do it? I don't know, but it's not that guy. We don't have to then present the person that we think did it in order to disprove that somebody else didn't do it. That's amazing that this guy, and he's talking in front of people. Like,
no. Shooting down my suspect isn't enough. If he's a good detective, he has to give reasons as to why candidate Y is the murderer.
No,
not
you
just
don't.
to say that your guy is the wrong guy. That's all I'm saying, Scott.
This video presents.
How fucking stupid do you got to be, man? Really? What if a piece of evidence exonerates a person? That doesn't mean that you definitely know who did actually do it. What if they were wearing gloves and but this person's got an alibi or whatever? But this person, like the person that actually did it, like wore gloves and got rid of all their DNA and did all this stuff to like make it so you can't figure out who they are. Oh my God, it's so stupid. But no, you just got to throw in up. Well, I guess some black guy then, right? What is this like policing in fucking Kentucky or something? What's happening?
A classic example of what I call the privilege of the skeptic, where you see someone whose primary function is just to try to deconstruct or to disassemble the worldview of a believer, while at the same time sort of pretending or claiming that they themselves don't have a worldview, when in reality,
it's just
every individual person.
No. We have worldviews. It's just atheism isn't it. We all have worldviews and things. Like my worldview, I think, would be humanist, right? And atheism is part of that because it's a secular humanist. But the atheism part is not. That's not what informs the worldview. That is like my morality is what informs my worldview, what I think is right and wrong and why. But their belief in God is directly linked to their worldview, to their morality, to everything, right? That's why, and it's weird, they always try to do this. They always try to be like, it's the same on the other side. It's the same for you guys, It almost reminds me of like every time that like, a person says something like a black person says something negative about a white person, like, oh, white people, am I right? And they're like, hey, that's being racist against white people. No, it's not, man. It's not the same thing because you're not a minority class. I mean, white people are not a minority class, and they've had all the privilege throughout all of history until you start getting into like the which kind of white, and then they also didn't have as much privilege. Anyway, it's the whole thing. But they try to act like it's the same thing when it's just not,
Person believes something about who they are, where they came from, what they're for, where they're going. All of these deep questions are
what is where we're going? Like going forward in time? I don't know what you mean, man.
are asked by every single person in every single culture across time. Whatever your answers to those questions are is your worldview. So if you are an atheist, you're saying that God does not exist, and therefore
and they're done.
The
That's it.
Source for humanity, for creation, the sort of teleology, meaning like the end purpose or the end goal of all of this.
That's made up. That's made up by religious people. That's not necessarily a thing. This is what I'm saying. Like, because atheists might believe that they have some kind of purpose without believing in a God, man. This is what I'm saying. Like, you don't see your whole thing falls apart really quick.
So going to be informed by your belief that God does not exist. So really the playing field is equal regardless of whether you believe that God does exist or whether you believe that God does not.
I'm sure you'd love to think that, buddy, wouldn't you? Yeah, because you just said a second ago that we have a privilege, and you're right, because y'all's position is so stupid that you're relinquishing your epistemic privileges like at all, and you're basically just deciding that something is true and then working your way backwards to, and that's why you're throwing all the theological argument. All these are arguments that were created so that the religious people could actually talk to non-religious people and not feel like complete idiots because they don't actually have good arguments for things. Hey, Spooky, what's up? Hey. But yeah, watching this weird Confederate looking dude. He really likes Frank Turek. He seems to always cover this guy and act like he's just so damn good, which is kind of funny because I always thought Turek, out of all the apologists I've seen, he's not very good. Like honestly, he's probably one of like the bottom three, I'd say, of he's above Ray Comfort, but that's about it.
Exist both individuals are in the same place in terms of having to live out of that worldview, which just means lens that you look through to understand and perceive reality. So I just think that this exchange is a classic example of that, sort of that privilege of the skeptic, where actually this guy, and I mean, he seems like a cool guy. I like.
Hold on, do we have a privilege or don't we? Because you keep on saying that we do have a privilege to be skeptical, or we don't have burdens of proof and everything. But then you're turning around saying that we do have burdens of proof. So that you're basically saying that we both do and do not have a privilege, a skeptical privilege.
Like the wolf T-shirt, genuinely.
This is why we're bad
but
at this.
he doesn't, I don't think, understand that he's not actually bringing forward any type of an affirmative vision to explain anything. He's just...
You don't have to. You're the one claiming a thing. We're not. We don't have to. We take reality as is and say, I don't know why it is how it is. Let's figure it out. Let's actually try to figure some shit out instead of just deciding that, oh, it was all magic. Magic, my God, that did stuff is magic. Like, you really could just never look into science ever, because you could always just say, that because God wants it that way. That's why. Why? Because God. That's why, for everything. Well, why do frogs do this or whatever when they mate up? Because God wanted it to. That's it. You don't have to, so
trying to come up with reasons to doubt or to be skeptical of the belief claim that God exists. I think it lacks even just basic intellectual integrity, this approach. And I do think that this sort of exists really at the bedrock of atheism or skepticism. And so anyway, this video I just think is good because it sort of brings that to light. It sort of calls that out.
It's so funny because they're so stuck. They're so deep within their minds. It's like those people that use the word non-Christian. Like, it's like, oh, the only thing that exists is Christians and non-Christians, because that's just how fucking like narrow their view is of reality. And so he can't see how on the other side, the flip side of this is just being like, reality is the way it is. And we don't have to necessarily have all the answers, in order to refute all of yours, because you're the one making claims that things are this way because of your God. We're saying, nope, that's not true. And then they're like, well, you got to have a perfect worldview that explains literally everything all the time. And it's for atheists that are honest about how the world works. It's a million different reasons why things are the way they are. And we have to memorize all the science for all these different things because they put this shit on us. And really, we shouldn't have to do any of that. Okay, we're just honestly assessing reality and saying, I don't know why it is. Let's figure it out. So far, the best evidence is this, that, and the other scientifically, and that's always subject to review and so on and so forth, right? It's not us having to sit here and just traipse out like every explanation for everything. Otherwise, God, come on, man, that's ridiculous.
And I mean, I love atheists. I love talking with atheists. Obviously, I think these are important conversations. But you've got...
Maybe I can hit this guy up and we can have a conversation. I don't know how big his page is. It seems to be like if you have like over a number of subscribers, they won't even talk to me.
You've got to just call a spade when it comes to the fact that atheism is a worldview and that you do need to come up with alternative explanations.
Aunt Jared's here. Hey, Aunt Jared. Does this guy realize that words have meanings? You don't get to have your own secret definition of words. Exactly. I mean, and that's where it gets so frustrating because we can't even get off of the ground floor because they won't even let us have a definition to something that makes sense without it being in the context of their belief. It's almost like when people use the the phrase like, oh, you believe that the world came into, or the universe came into existence by accident. That is just the most dishonest framing of an atheist worldview. We're like, look, in the context that you're saying, that is begging the question fallacy, where you assume the conclusion in the premise, because you're basically saying that there is a right way and a wrong way for things to happen, right? And by accident is only works in the context of there's a correct way for things to work, and then this is an incorrect way for it to work, and you think that it came into existence because of the incorrect way that it would work. It's a you're begging the question fallacy. Anyway,
for reality, you can't just be skeptical of the claims of believers. That doesn't really get you anywhere. All that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Many more to come. Don't forget to like, subscribe.
Look at this dude. Look at this. Looks crazy. No, I mean, I have to say he's got a pretty badass mustache. I won't get on him too bad for that, because it is pretty solid. But yeah, all right. Let me go back. Let me just
all of the things that tell the algorithm that you guys like this content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.
All right, why doesn't it let me go back? Oh, because I was never in there. Okay. Well, shit, I gotta reopen it. That's all right. I'll reopen it back up. Here we go. So we'll find another one. I just gotta share it real quick. Here we go. And then we can decide together if y'all want to. All right. Here we go. Here, that's a good one. Let's see. How do you know? How do you discern between the voice of God and your voice? That's kind of fun. Let's see. Is anybody has any suggestions of these? We'll stick with these top ones. Okay, so we got they try to block this video to what? They try to block this video too, then this happens. That's it. He does these video essays. He's very homophobic. Let's see, what's this one? These are the good fight people. Lil Uzi Vert puts Lucifer on the horizon. They're like super afraid of demons and Satanist stuff, like saying that all of Hollywood's Satanist all the time. This Brylan guy who's like so dumb. Like, so a Satanist made his demands. What? Justin Bieber's man, Sam Smith. So this sounds like another demon thing. A lot of demon stuff going on. It's so funny the way these people are. Then the book of Genesis exposed. What, man? Like, it's been exposed. Oh my God. What do you mean? Like, something that has been around for fucking God knows how long is not something that you can expose. I don't want to do a Tim Pool. Let's see. How to discern between God's voice and your voice. Any of these ring any of your all's fancy? That was a weird way to say that. Is it ring your fancy? I think I mixed like two different phrases or something there. But all right, let me see here. Damn, I'm having a tough time choosing here. I really like the idea of doing a music one. How long is that one? Oh, that one's only 12 minutes. Let's do this one first.
I want you to take note of this, because what's being said here is
this guy's an idiot.
Literally, you should be deleted if you don't think like them. These people in their ivory towers don't think you should exist if you aren't. Now, I want you to notice this, that the term violence has been moved. Now it includes you literally just disagreeing. But here's all the list of names that signed this.
No, that's not true. It's harassing, and they always seem to misunderstand like that, like harassing trans folks, because that's what it's going to be about. We know that that's equal to violence, and that is when you're harassing somebody over and over and dead naming them and misgendering them, just like that's harassment, man.
So you're going to notice some names here. What?
Oh, that's fucking loud.
Hey, would you mind hitting that subscribe button and being a part of this
Yeah.
community with us? I would.
Yeah, actually, y'all, yeah, if you want to subscribe and hit that button, hit the little bell thing, because I do random streams. I'm gonna try to figure out how to like actually do a time so that we can all make sure that we're getting together at the same time. But for the time being, everything's so hectic and confusing that I can only get on when I get on. So if you want to ring the bell, that way you can like jump on whenever I'm on, you know, if we can line it up right. I know.
Would love to hear from you on a regular basis. I'm Brylan. You know, there's a thought war in our society today. If your thoughts, if your thinking doesn't align with this new truth being created, then you're an outcast. You need to be deleted. And really, the root of this thought.
What does he mean by deleted? Like we can just knock it, like you just deleted from reality? What the hell are you talking about? I mean, like from platforms? Yeah, okay. That's not the same thing.
War is a war on truth. Look at Isaiah chapter 5, verse 20.
I love how they say that. They're like, it's a war on truth. Okay, now let's turn to the book that has talking animals. Now let's see, because we know what the truth is, okay? And it's the book that has talking animals and talks about how owning slaves and beating them is moral. All right, let's do this.
This says, woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light.
Why won't they say cancel? I thought they love to say cancel. That's true.
Light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. You know, you see that all over our society today. We're being fed.
Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who puts darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Yeah, all this is subjective. Y'all do this to each other. You know what I mean? Like somebody will be saying one thing is moral within the church, even as it applies to like baptism. You know, hey, baptizing babies. Now that's evil, because you got to do communion first and you got to know what it means before you go get baptized. And if you baptize baby, that's immoral. Like they do it to themselves. So it's so funny because, I mean, at the end of the day, I think there's an argument to be made on certain grounds, but at the end of the day, morality is subjective, dude. Like it just is. I think we can say on the grounds of like do no harm, and that sort of like there is an objective like point we can get to, but when you start branching out what different people think is well-being, it gets more complicated. Anyway,
fed bitterness, but being told it's sweet, and if you don't taste the sweetness, then there's something wrong with you, and you're an outcast. You need to be shunned from society until,
says the guy that's part of the majority. Yeah, 63% of the fucking U.S. of A, and I'm guaranteed. I mean, that seems to be where you're at, given the flag here. Is your religion, dude. You are not the outcast. You're the one doing the outcasting, and we don't and we just are like, no, we're not letting you do that anymore. And so now they're like, we can't outcast people, then we're outcasts. That's what that is. They're making us the outcasts. That's what they're doing, you know.
That bitterness is sweet to you. In 2 Timothy chapter 3 says this perfectly, but
what if it's bittersweet? You ever think of that? Huh? Wrecked your whole Bible verse in one question. Boom.
Understand this, that in the last days there will come times of difficulty, for people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy.
No, it's like all this bad stuff, and people won't, and kids will be bad too. They won't clean their rooms, you know, they won't even do it. They'll be walking around going, bunch of fucking bullshit. Like, what did you say? And like, nothing. Yeah, kids will be like that.
Heartless, unappeasable. You see this word here? That means that they will not be satisfied in their.
Yeah, sounds like the Supreme Court. I mean, yeah, you guys.
Evil. They will need to take it to extremes, as Romans 1 says, that they will be inventors of evil, because the evil that they are currently eviling isn't going to be enough anymore.
Evil. You can't use evil as a verb, man. You can't do that. All right.
Going to have to create new ways.
The funny thing is, like, he's in Isaiah, and there's a verse in Isaiah that says, I am the Lord. It's talking from God's perspective. He says, I created everything, good and evil alike. God created evil in the book that he's quoting.
And it will never be enough, therefore rendering them unappeasable. They'll be slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless.
God, everything he's describing sounds like a Trump supporter, man. Like that's like they're never satisfied. They're fucking crying about everything all the time. Everything has to be the way they want it. Otherwise, they're calling for the fucking manager. You know, come on. What do we got here? Let me see. Okay. So, it's a new person. Hello, SS 1964. Republican. Wow, that's a that's a tough word to say. All right, I'm going to do it again. Republicanism, I think I'm saying that right, is a right-wing authoritarian, theocrat, sadist, autocrat, psycho-fascist, racist, xenophobic, misogynist, homophobe, criminal, insurrectionist, terrorist, traitor to America disease. Bam! That was awesome. Thank you. More of those comments, Fred. That's awesome. I don't know their gender, so I don't.
Lot of horrible things. Now, there was an open letter put out to every major social media platform, Instagram, YouTube, you name it, and Facebook, and it was signed by over 250 celebrities. And I'm going to show you who a lot of those celebrities were, but I want you to look at this letter, and then I want to contrast what's being said.
Are they not celebrities anymore? They were celebrities when they signed it. Now they're not. So anyway, I better not get on them for grammar stuff, because if anybody tries to return me with that shit, I will fail hard.
In this letter, with stories that have been going on within our culture.
Antier said, disobedient to parents includes adult children not living how the parents want them to. Yeah, that's true. And I think we all know that parents have the tendency to be, well, fucking crazy sometimes, you know, especially as it relates to like you doing what they could say that something is immoral if you're not trying to go to Harvard so that you can follow in your father's footsteps or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Our society and show you how deep this really goes. Check this out. Christian model Haley Baldwin. Now this story, this particular story is focusing on Haley Baldwin, but there's other major names, other major celebrities that signed this petition, if you will, this letter. Okay. I want you to take note of
it. Okay, because he's not saying who it is. All right. This is signed by or shared by LGBT activists group GLAAD. And I can't remember, what is it, like affirmative action, gay, lesbian, affirmative action, something. I don't know. I can't remember, but it's like basically a group that looks out for the rights of the people who are specifically being targeted, and specifically by people like this dickhead that are trying to attack gay and trans, like mostly trans people right now. And it's working. There has been tons and tons of bills signed throughout the country that treats them like second-class citizens.
Of this, because what's being said here is literally you should be deleted if you don't think like them. These people in their ivory towers.
From what? Deleted from what, man? We need a little bit more context, because nobody's saying that we should kill you. Like, that's insane.
I don't think you should exist if you aren't a part of the new truth. So it says Christian model Haley Baldwin.
Oh, nice. I love that. Okay. SS said, no, it's all good. I coined that term about 6 years ago, and the Republican Nazi. That's awesome. Terrorist party earned it. That's great. I love it. That is
Bieber also joined the likes of artist Sam Smith. Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
And endorsing a public letter calling for Instagram, YouTube, and other social media platforms to ban LGBT hate, harassment, and disinformation. Again,
yeah, he's like, oh, bullshit. They got like banning LGBT hate and harassment. What are we even supposed to do? I don't even know my whole Saturday's wrecked now.
These are trigger words. These are key words to say if you don't think and accept and celebrate in the exact way you're being told to, then you fall under this hate.
That's you guys. Wow. It's crazy that they can do this. Like, they are the ones saying that you have to literally get your entire identity from what is prescribed to you by your fucking Christian religion, whatever the doctrine is, whatever it is, you know. But that's you guys. That's you. But they're like, but that's them. No, man. We just don't want, if you just start hating and harassing people, we can't have that shit. That's it.
In the letter shared by LGBT groups and addressed to Meta, Mark Zuckerberg, YouTube's Alphabet, Neil
Well, and
Mohan.
Hold on one second. I think the problem too is that the reason, and I don't know how recent this is that this went out, it's that Elon Musk doing this shit with Twitter and basically turning like cisgendered or whatever, cis into a slur to basically make everything in reverse, to be like making it okay to harass and hurt, be harmful to these groups of people online, and they try to flip it. That's why I think they're having to do this, because like we need at least the others. And thankfully, like everybody's leaving Twitter in droves, because you can't even not be called the F slur for like a day on that site, man. It's insane. So yeah, I think it's actually high time that we like send an open letter exactly like this to all the big social media platforms, because nobody's going to be on your fucking platform if you're going to let it, if you're going to let it go to shit like Elon did with Twitter.
TikTok's Shusi Chu and Twitter's Linda Yaccarino and Twitter's Elon Musk. More than 250 celebrity and influence.
I mean, it's crypto. I'm a theist, crypto, or crypto. Anyway, I'm a theist, but love the atheists on YouTube. We need both sides of the discussion. That's there's plenty of sites for that. That's not what this is. My channel is specifically for evangelical atheists, to be able to laugh at the things that the beliefs that used to terrorize us. So that's what this channel is for. I do get on the political stuff a lot of times because I'm just doing random stuff here, and just reacting as I go. But the main point of this page is just to kind of make fun of the beliefs that used to terrorize us. That is what it is.
Influencers and prominent public figures with significant followings on social media warn of a massive systemic failure. Now listen to what parts of this letter actually said. They just came out and just said it. They just came out and said all the quiet part out loud. There's been a massive systemic failure to prohibit hate, harassment, malicious anti-LG disinformation on your platform, and it must be addressed, the letter stated. The very content you profit from is a violation of your own terms of service, which assert that you do not allow hate speech. Now, remember, what is this hate speech? This is
no, it's going to go ahead and redefine everything here. Like hate speech is just disagreeing. It's just this. No, it's not, man. It's harassing people. It's using language and terms on marginalized groups of people that are hurtful and abusive. So no, it's not what you're about to say. But let's hear it. Let's see what his idiotic
is literally disagreeing.
No, it's not.
You don't even have to. You don't have to say anything horrible about any of these groups. You just have to. If you're not completely 100% a part of the new truth, then that is considered hate. You can't.
No, you have the freedom to not like say anything. Like you can just leave, dude. You can just not talk to the people, right? If you disagree with them and you only want to talk to other like religious extremists like yourself, you can just leave and just talk to your people, man. You do not have to sit there and harass these people and say, call them delusional, even though you believe in a spirit ghost that lives inside of you. Okay.
Can't even just agree to live together and go along to get along. And
it's your probably my Facebook. My Facebook Messenger is probably the best to interact with me. That's like the ones I get from there. If you're on Facebook, I think you are, right?
Anymore. Yeah. You have to completely 100% be a part of what the new truth is, which, the Bible says, woe to those who call evil good.
Hold on a second. I think we might. Oh yeah, okay. You don't have Facebook. Well, shoot, Twitter. I guess you could do. Do you have Twitter? It's at Brent Lee Allen 1. on Twitter if you want to do that. I'm not really using it right now because of that, because of how it's all kind of gone to shit. But
good and good, evil, which is all around our society right now. Such content, the letter asserts, includes both dangerous content and ads from high follower hate-based accounts, and any speech that spreads malicious lies and disinformation about medically necessary health care for certain youth, claiming that medical operations for
yeah, because here's the thing. There is so much disinformation that's being weaponized against the trans community. It's unbelievable. And so, yeah, pushing out like it's almost like the conspiracy theories about COVID and stuff that was like really harmful because certain people were believing it and then getting their family members killed because they were just spreading a disease willy-nilly. It's the same kind of shit with the psychology scholarship. That is the consensus of the planet's best scholars as it applies to psychology, like as it relates to trans youth. And we have what is best for them, right? And that is, there is a consensus on that. And so if you have these idiots running around out here saying that it's not like that, oh no, it's not good for them or whatever, like they're just lying about different treatments for trans youth. It's just, and it gets people hurt. And then now they're actually banning medical best practices for trans kids because politicians are getting involved in shit they do not understand because they are believing all the propaganda bullshit instead of actually looking at the science psychology scholarship. That's the planet's best scholars on how to treat gender dysphoria, and it is to transition, right? And it's not harmful at all. Okay, it isn't in any way, shape, or form. And the people spreading that bullshit that it is, should be silenced because it's leading to bans on much needed medical care all over the country.
People have been endorsed by every leading medical and psychological association, the letter states. Of course, I'll just say there's lots of money in that industry. An inflammatory disinformation falsely asserting that this health is dangerous is allowed to fester.
Here, I'll put it in the chat. Let me see. Sorry, I just want to be able to. There you go. It's all right.
Your platforms. Now, I want you to notice this, that the term violence has been moved. Now it includes you literally just disagreeing. So you saying, well, I disagree though.
It's lying.
I follow the.
It's lying about medical practices and what is best according to the science.
Truth of God's word. That is hate.
Well, that is, yeah. Well, not only is that stupid because there isn't any truth to God's word other than some cities existing. But yeah, people don't walk on water. Animals don't talk. There isn't a carpenter ghost living inside of you. And, blood sacrifice isn't fucking normal, man. Okay. So you're the fucking weirdo here. Okay.
Hateful. Jesus. Now, not just hateful.
And y'all hate like people just for who they love and shit. Yeah.
That's violence. And the Human Rights Campaign report that links religious intolerance with misinformation. So again, intolerance is saying, I stand on the word of God. That is now misinformation and hateful.
Oh, which part? The part that says it's okay to beat your slave in Exodus 21?
The letter also categorizes any speech that opposes LGBT values as extremist hate. So it's not just hate, it's extremely hate. Lastly, the letter urged social media companies to crack down on what it called anti-twan hate, which includes misgendering and dead naming, which involves using biologically accurate pronouns.
Don't harass trans people. I feel like this is not difficult, man. You can just not talk to them. You can opt out of talking to these folks, these kind people that I'm sure have given you more patience than you fucking deserve.
And the names given at birth for twan identified persons. But notice this real quick. While calling on social media,
these people are fucking obsessed, man. This is weird, dude. You're talking about less than 1% of the population, and you're this freaked out about it that you're like, and we're not even allowed to like harass and hate them online. This is crazy. We're the victims here. We're the victims here.
Companies to address these concerns. The letter also appeared to ask that the LG community not be held to the same standard for fear of over enforcement and censorship. What? Your policies and corresponding.
Hold on, I missed something. Hold on, let me go back. Sorry, I just want to catch this.
Not be held to the same standard for fear of over enforcement and censorship. What? Your policies and corresponding enforcement are inadequate when it comes to mitigating harmful and dangerous anti-LG content. The letter stated, you must urgently take action to protect LG users on your platform, including protecting us.
Okay, that's right. Because this is the open letter to like all the platforms. And I guarantee you that Elon Musk ain't going to give a fuck about this. I hope that we can, that the Meta team and all that will. They seem to have been better than Twitter as of late, but they're not the best. There's a lot of problems there. So I don't know. It's just it's a frustrating thing to try to draw the line where it actually needs to be, as far as like how a platform with a lot of hate, that is allowing these hateful people to harass these marginalized people. It's just, I actually have no problem with it. It is an open letter. This isn't like a fucking, wow. It's insane the way they can get all twisted over basically a bunch of people signing letter that's like, hey, can we have better terms of service for all of the platforms?
Us from over enforcement and censorship. So basically, squash, delete, throw away anybody and everybody that isn't 100% fully on board, and give us complete and utter freedom to be able to do and say whatever we want, however we want, at any time at all. Literally. Stop them from thinking and talking and even existing, and allow us to be the only voices that are allowed to be heard, but not just allowed to be heard, allowed to do and say whatever we want at it, however we want. That's exactly what's being said here. This is from the leading tolerance councils. This is the new tolerance.
Wait, I'm so confused. All right. So he's trying to say that they are saying that they should be able to say, like, because it is different. If he's talking about like criticism towards like religious stuff, I feel like that is entirely different than criticizing somebody for having a condition, which that's what this is in a lot of respects. These are, the different conditions. People, you have to look at it as if it's the same thing as like a person having some kind of condition and you're harassing them for having that condition, because that's what, it's just as inherent as that.
That there is no tolerance for anybody that doesn't think like us. That is true tolerance. But check this out. Both Justin and Haley Bieber identify as Christians. Yes, this is true. They both have been outspoken, if you will, about being Christians, yet live in a way.
Real quick, y'all. Hey, in the chat, we're noticing like a lot of kind of inflammatory words. Like, and I appreciate where you're coming from, and you are right on a lot of this stuff that we're talking about. But just a lot of these words that you're using can get flagged really easily, and it can get the stream knocked down. Get us like removed, and I can get in trouble, and the channel gets stuck for a while. So if we could maybe just use like code language if you need to or whatever, but like you don't like, please don't be saying those words outright. Antshare is kind of helping you hopefully like understanding which words we're talking about. But all right, thank you.
That completely satisfies the lusts of the world. They do not take a stand on anything biblical whatsoever. And in fact, this kind of says it all. They were seen regularly attending Hillsong Church, and when all that stuff blew up. But here's all the list of names that signed this. So you're going to notice some names here. Ariana Grande is one of them. Now you're going to notice there's a lot of names on here from celebrities that have actually no clout whatsoever. They have they're celebrity, they're Z-list celebrities, but they're trying to write coattails and get their names out there. But then you're going to see
something that probably likes Kevin Sorbo. Yeah. And Kirk Cameron. Those are what he thinks are A-listers.
Big names on here as well. Demi Lovato, of course, and her wonderful new song that just came out. Spoiler,
God, I know
it
none.
was horrible.
Of course you think so. I mean, I probably have heard of it, but I don't know. I'm not really good with the names, and I see why. I feel old when I say this episode, but I feel like it's moving so fast that I'm having a hard time keeping up with the latest musicians of the times, you know.
And I'll have a video going more in depth with the Demi Lovato video. But and then you see here Haley Baldwin Bieber, a professing Christian, which obviously we can all see through,
Haley
is signing something.
Are they related to Justin? I'm so confused. Okay, I'm
that
gonna stop.
Says that you
I don't
should
know.
not exist if you have Christian beliefs. A professing Christian that said
no. That's not what the wow, he's like really twisting it. That's not what the letter says at all. It's just saying like you don't have to harass these people. If you want to have your beliefs, you are welcome to have your beliefs on the platform. But if you're going to be sitting here using abusive language and dead naming and stuff like that is abusive language, you can just decide to not talk about that shit specifically on that platform. You have the right to be as Christian as you want to be. You can talk about Jesus all day long. You can talk about all the blood sacrifice, rubbing the blood all over you to get you white, clean, or whatever, all you want. Okay. You can talk about all your weird blood fetish shit that you feel like. You just can't harass people, man. And if anybody harasses you for being a Christian, you have the same option to like be able to say, hey, this is harassment. Like you have the same protection, man. It's insane.
You shouldn't exist if you follow Christianity truly. And of course, Sam Smith. Yeah, not a big surprise there. But as you can see, this is a pretty long list of names that don't.
That's my jam right there. The Smith dude. Yeah.
Want you to exist if
anything
you're
with
not
demons
completely given over.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to think differently. Look at all these names in their ivory towers saying that you are not.
I wonder if he doesn't know
of life.
I wonder what he thinks ivory tower means. Like, that's as far as I understand it. Ivory tower like relates to like high education. That's like I went to Harvard.
If you look closely enough, it's not that hard to notice the double standard here. Now you see celebrities. You have literally celebrities in their ivory towers.
Why is he blinking so much, dude? What kind of drugs is he on? He's just like I know I twitch a lot, but that which I do have a condition that causes that, but he's just blinking like
worshipped by society for acting. They're
like, what is happening
for a living. Yet
is he like kidnapped and he's trying to he's like doing Morse code? I have been kidnapped, please come help me.
They get to tell you what real is, what truth is. And if you don't submit to,
I'd say we could make a drinking game out of his blinking, but we'd have to be in like the number of 50 or something. Once he gets to 50 blinks, everybody, then we
that new truth, not the truthy truth, the new truth, then you don't deserve to live. You don't deserve to be a part of society.
Okay, I am so distracted by his blinking. I'm having a hard time listening to what he's saying. Hold on, let me back up. Okay.
Not the truthy truth, the new truth. Then
the truthy
you don't
truth.
Deserve to
the truthy truth that is the talking animals and stuff. Is that what you're talking about? Like the Bible truthy truth, that stuff? Because that's pretty obviously now. When you're saying that something happened that isn't even possible, well, then we run into kind of a difficult situation here. All right, because we have to be like, dude, that's fucking stupid to think that something impossible happened. And I hate it when they try to relate this stuff to like bounce it back to trans people, because trans people are being absolutely honest about every aspect of fucking everything. Okay, they're not sitting here saying that, hey, one time a dude walked on water and he lives as a fucking ghost inside me now. No, they're saying I am a trans person. I was born X way and now I live X way, because gender is basically all made up. Okay, and it doesn't really matter, And that's they're not lying about anything. They're not believing anything that is not true. They're very honest about themselves. You know, it drives me nuts when they try to relate that shit and act like it's the same thing. It's not.
Live. You don't deserve to be a part of society. And we're just bowing to this. We're just giving into this. And we're distancing ourselves from truth. And you're seeing Christians and churches distance
like 500 anti-trans bills across the country, man, and you're gonna sit here and act like you're the fucking victim. Holy good God fucking shit. I swear they are the biggest, like they're the most entitled babies. Like they're such brats
themselves from truth to try to stay in good graces with an unappeasable group. And it's not going to work. It's a lose.
Again, that's you guys. You guys are unappeasable. Like nobody can even make anything for you without you freaking out. If you make like a Noah movie, they're like, that's not the Bible. I know. Like you can't do anything and please these fuckers, man.
Battle to do that. So we must stand on the truth of God's word.
Right.
We must
do that.
Uphold the truth of the Bible.
That is a tiny Bible.
Remember,
why is it so small? And it looks like it's the full thing too. Why is it so small? It's so cute. Like I would have to wear like 4 pairs of reading glasses to read that shit, man. You know the writing's like microscopic.
God wins in the end.
Well,
but hey, let me know your thoughts about all this.
If this is what I don't understand about these people. If they believe in some kind of fucking cosmic justice where all the people that they disagree with are going to be burned and tortured for all goddamn eternity, then why the fuck are you trying to do all this shit here on Earth when it's supposed to be the temporary time that you exist? It's the mist or whatever. Like it's just a vapor, right? So then why the fuck are you trying to ruin the lives of people that you believe are going to be tortured for eternity anyway? What the fuck is that about? Jesus, just leave people alone. God damn.
The comment section below.
Okay, he's done. All right. Now we can go back because that wasn't it's over an hour. All right. Well, thank you all so much for hanging out. I will be back tomorrow at a later time. It'll be like more like closer to like 4 tomorrow. But we'll definitely be back on. Thank you so much for hanging out and commenting and all that stuff. Yeah, and we just got to make sure that we're using words in the chat that aren't extremely incendiary, that they are looking for, that will alarm the bots, because that'll mess us up. Even though I agree with everything that you were saying, you're absolutely dead on. It's just that they alert the bots, so we get in trouble. But you know what won't alert the bots? Which I don't know why, but adamandeve.com. Go to adamandeve.com, enter code word Brentley, and you can get 3 free gifts, one for him, one for her, and one you'll both enjoy. 6 free movies, 50% off almost any one item, and free shipping on the entire order. So head on over to that and buy your stuff today. Enter code word Brentley. That's BRENTLY, and get your butt some stuff. That's but thanks again for watching. If you want to like and subscribe, ring the bell so that you can be alerted when we show up, and make sure to stay logical, loving, skeptical, and compassionate.